4 months of hiding. The Attorney General finally showed up. Congressman Garcia listed specific murders, covered up fake charges, filed criminals protected. Then he dropped this bombshell. Even Trump says she's weak. Watch her get destroyed.
Attorney General Bondi, glad you finally made it here after hiding for 4 months from this committee. I understand why you're hiding from us.
Chairman?
You're one of the worst attorney generals in our history and an instrument of Donald Trump's lawless authoritarian agenda, and I'm glad the American people are seeing who you are, how you act, and the lack of good values. You weaponize the Department of Justice to target immigrants, working families, and anyone that Trump deems an enemy of the state, all to protect real powerful criminals, including in your administration. My Democratic colleagues have focused on your cover-up of the Epstein files and your passion for protecting pedophiles and child traffickers. That alone is grounds for impeachment. But there's so much more to your corrupt tenure as Attorney General. You directed prosecutors to investigate elected officials in welcoming jurisdictions, and you got thrown out of court when you sued Chicago, Cook County, and Illinois. You directed prosecutors to prioritize low-level immigration cases while gutting enforcement against corporate criminals and public corruption. You revived draconian law of 1798, which should be repealed to illegally send people to a torture prison in El Salvador. You fired over 100 immigration judges, including the assistant chief immigration judge in Chicago, without cause, and installed unqualified military judges whom you instructed to deny asylum in violation of the law. You prosecute the president's enemies like Jim Comey and Tish James while giving impunity to federal agents who are murdering and brutalizing and terrorizing constituents, including in Chicagoland, in my neighborhood. I saw it last year firsthand. You and Kash Patel covered up the murder of Silverio Villegas Gonzalez in my district by ICE agents. You tried to investigate René Good instead of the ICE agent who murdered her, and you tried to cover up the murder of Alex Peretti by CBP agents. You bring fake charges against protesters like the Broadview Six and Marimar Martinez, whom your administration labeled a domestic terrorist. This is the Montessori teacher who lives in my district, while protecting thugs who terrorize us and DHS authority. That's what you do. Protect and enable the criminals who are plundering our society and destroying what's left of democracy and the rule of law. Epstein accomplices, mass DHS thugs, corporate criminals, Tom Homan, Eric Adams, insurrectionists, the list goes on. And you talk about fighting crime, but you protect any criminal who helps you and Trump turn our country into an authoritarian gangster state. And after all this, nobody supports you. I'm not talking about Democrats. I'm talking about conservative judges who are condemning the rampant lawlessness at DOJ under your leadership. Your prosecutors are quitting in droves over being forced to prosecute low-level immigration cases, including in Chicagoland. Your MAGA base despises you because you're covering up the Epstein file. How ironic. And even your own boss has repeatedly complained to your staff about you, calling you weak and ineffective. Weak and ineffective. That's what Donald Trump thinks of you already. You will not win, however. Chicagoland rejects you. The American people reject you. Our communities have demonstrated our strength and resilience in the face of cruelty and cowardice. Democrats must impeach and remove lawless officials like you and Kristi Noem and impose accountability for every criminal action. But you can spare yourself more humiliation. Resign now and submit yourself to accountability by the American people. Mr. Chairman, before I yield back, I ask unanimous consent to submit for the record this Wall Street Journal article dated January 12, 2026, entitled, "Trump has complained about Pam Bondi repeatedly to aides." Thank you, and I yield back.
Objection. Gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Texas is recognized.
I thank the chairman.
May I have 20 seconds, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Let's hear the opposition research.
Thank you. That's absolutely right. That they're not running for, he's not running for office again because, well, I don't know why you're not running for office again, but after the filing deadline, you publicly announced you would not run when your chief of staff, Patty Garcia, announced and took your seat.
That's a state matter. That isn't a federal matter. You should investigate crimes.
You should
investigate violations of the law.
The time belongs to the gentleman from.
What just unfolded in the House Judiciary Committee was one of the most brutal takedowns of an attorney general I've witnessed in years of monitoring Congress. Representative Garcia from Illinois came loaded for war, and what he delivered wasn't merely criticism. It was a methodical destruction supported by concrete cases, actual names, and accusations that reveal a chilling reality of how the Justice Department functions under Pam Bondi. Garcia opened by highlighting something critical. Bondi had deliberately avoided confronting this committee for 4 months. When she finally materialized, Garcia made it abundantly clear he recognized exactly why she was evading scrutiny. Then he stated it without hesitation. "You're one of the worst attorney generals in our history and an instrument of Donald Trump's lawless authoritarian agenda." But what separated this from standard political theater was that Garcia didn't settle for broad accusations. He went surgical. And that's where this becomes genuinely explosive. He charged Bondi with transforming the Justice Department into a weapon to persecute immigrants, working families, and anyone Trump designates an adversary, all while shielding what he termed authentic, powerful criminals within the administration. He referenced the Epstein files concealment that other members had been confronting her about, declaring her protection of those implicated justification for impeachment by itself. Then Garcia enumerated a sequence of actions that he contended reveal a pattern of systematic abuse. Bondi commanded prosecutors to pursue elected officials in sanctuary jurisdictions, including Chicago, Cook County, and Illinois. Those prosecutions got demolished in court. She diverted prosecutors away from corporate malfeasance and government corruption investigations to concentrate exclusively on trivial immigration enforcement. He highlighted the resurrection of deploying a 1798 statute to transport people to what he characterized as a torture facility in El Salvador. Over 100 immigration judges were terminated without justification, including the assistant chief immigration judge in Chicago, and substituted with unqualified military judges who were directed to reject asylum petitions in defiance of the law. His fundamental assertion was unambiguous. Bondi shields criminals who assist Trump and herself in consolidating authority, while targeting Trump's political adversaries like James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James. She grants immunity to federal agents who, according to Garcia, are brutalizing citizens while prosecuting ordinary individuals who demonstrate. Then Garcia articulated a point that penetrates deeper than partisan warfare. He's not exclusively referencing Democratic resistance. Conservative judges are denouncing the lawlessness at DOJ under Bondi's command. Prosecutors are abandoning in massive numbers, refusing to be coerced into pursuing insignificant immigration cases. Even the MAGA movement is enraged with her regarding the Epstein files concealment. And here's the devastating revelation. Garcia referenced a Wall Street Journal article from January 12th, documenting that Trump himself has continuously complained to his staff about Bondi, labeling her weak and ineffective. Her own superior believes she's collapsing. Garcia concluded with an unambiguous demand for her resignation, informing her she could prevent herself additional disgrace by surrendering to accountability from the American people immediately rather than eventually. What makes this consequential isn't merely the intensity of the accusations. It's the precision of the charges, the scope of misconduct being documented, and the reality that opposition is materializing not exclusively from Democrats, but from conservative judges, career prosecutors, and evidently even from Trump himself. Whether you accept Garcia's portrayal or not, what's irrefutable is that this hearing revealed profound dysfunction at the Justice Department and an attorney general who appears to have forfeited credibility from multiple directions simultaneously. This is Sophie Bennett. Thanks for watching.